This is a free podcast from the BBC. For more information, you can go to our website, bbc.co.uk/Radio 2.
So the American government is to shore up two of its lenders. Yes, we've heard nothing else in the last couple of hours. Might I suggest that they help them by getting them to change their names? I don't know about you, but people called Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae would be the last people I'd trust with my financial security. I couldn't agree more. How did they ever get into business in the first place? This is from Sir Alan Molasses. I saw your autobiography. Melissa Bit Mad. I saw your autobiography centrally placed in the window of a charity shop the other day. What a cracking way to discourage burglars. I might go and buy it and carry it around as an anti-mugging device. I'm supposed to have no feelings. I'm supposed to take all this on the kisser with a smile. Look, Frida Mayer. Good morning to Frida. Travelling across New York State last week, and it sent me a photograph of a sign that says, "Beer, now cheaper than petrol. Drink, don't drive." And scientists, says Magnus Pike, say that we worry too much about carbon. We should start worrying about nitrogen instead. Yes. Personally, I worry about helium and how it makes my voice go all funny and makes me sound daft. That's a problem. Well, don't take it, Magnus. Not being one to doubt the accuracy of provincial journalism. Well, who was it said earlier on this morning, the only thing you should believe in a newspaper is the date, and sometimes they get that wrong. I was delighted to read in my local paper we'd shortly be enjoying a village feast. Although not entirely versed in this type of event, I've removed me corn plasters and booked a pedicure. I don't see how I can lose. Well, Hans. It's Hans like shovels. On Friday night's episode of Celebrity MasterChef, how did I miss that? I tell you why. I was in midair. It was a successful night. Not for one, but two celebrities, both from Liverpool. Well, that's it then. Sue Greason of Hollyport in Berkshire. Liz from the chart-topping Atomic Kitchen, and Mark, wait for it, a celebrated actor. Since when have actors been celebrated? Well, not since Larry Oliver popped his clogs, sadly, and still owes that white fiver to Chuffer Dandridge. Celebrated. I love the euphemisms on Celebrity MasterChef. A much-loved TV presenter, which is a euphemism for, you won't know who this is. It's very strange. But don't be talking, Frank. Steve Wright on his Sunday Love Songs programme. He's all love, you know. That's why we call it the Love Station. It's Wright's fault. He's always referred to as Steve and the team, but you never hear a word from this mysterious group. On the other hand, you say there's no I in team, but you can't stop the underlings from constantly interrupting you. There's a moral in there somewhere. I just can't quite figure out what it is yet. You can't figure it out. Research has shown, says Dr. Finlay Casebook, Dr. Snoddy, that we Brits aren't very good at recognising that we're overweight. It's not even August yet, and the papers are full of nothing. Many of us say that we're about right, when in fact we're not. That's the truth of it. And this, they conclude, is because on average the population is getting bigger, so we tend not to notice as much. They want us to stop and lose weight. There was a time when people were on average a lot shorter too. Well, these researchers have it all filing our legs down to prevent us from growing too tall. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of it about, and we don't have to pay any attention to it whatsoever. Just preparing to discard last weekend's papers the other day, making sure I used the right bin, of course, in case anyone was snooping, says Klonowski of Leeds. And there you were, in the Times business section. Nothing to do with broadcasting, in an article about pointless development courses. This is a tart little one from some gobdaw. The article began, "Aging, as you know, from following Sir Terry Wogan, can be a cruel business. And the most terrible symptoms are increased grumpiness and a tendency to repeat oneself." As I said before, I'm supposed to have no feelings. Still, there's one good thing. At least now I know who to blame for my own tendencies. Yes, no, those tendencies have nothing to do with me, Francis. Those are a problem that you should have addressed long since. I gave birth in March. No, not me. Claire. Until then, I listened to Radio 1. Overnight, I changed to you in the mornings, you see. Maturity and also maternity. I've never looked back. Now seems I may be turning into a very young tog. Don't flatter yourself, Claire. We have togs about 3 years of age here. And, well, we've got TOGs that in reality are about 80, but inside they're 3. Can you display TOG attributes at 28? Yes, you certainly can. Some people are born old geezers and old gals, and the better for it. I'm converting all other mums I come into contact with. Thanks for making changing nappies and talking baby chat much more fun in the mornings. I'm experiencing a great deal of that myself at the moment, and enjoying every little moment of it, as long as I'm not the one that has to change the nappy. Good morning to you, Boggington.
Oh, a very good morning to you, my lord.
And you, the lovely Lynn.
Morning, sir.
What?
She's saluting now, ever since we went to the RAF Fairford.
I've gone all military.
And she likes men in uniform, Johnny. So if you came in here tomorrow in your sailor suit...
Yes.
We might...
I could do that. I've got an admiral's hat and everything.
All the nice girls love a bogey. All the nice girls love a tar. Because there's something about a bogey. Well, you know what bogeys. Bright and breezy, free and easy. He's a lady.
Free?
Pride and joy. He'd be that, eh? Can't do that. Yeah. Oh. Well, anyway, it finishes. Ship boy.
No, that's it.
Oh, their chest's gone. I know. I suppose it's out there on the bounding main, isn't it?
No, that's the hell. That's good. He's coming here.
Okay, let's get on. For heaven's sake. There's a man dying here.
I do apologise. I would apologise.
Thank you.
If I could.
Oh, for heaven's sake. Oh, no. Has anybody got some goose grease?
I'll be all right now.
Tall and thin and rather crusty, the fop from Uckfield's none too dusty. Betty Bickerdike, who's rather busty, goes, Though he tends to be a popinjay, Melanie Frontage loves the dandy way she's allowed to buff his binnacle every day. She goes, I can't read anymore, this is filthy. It's absolutely filthy from cooking.
I was hoping you'd do the middle bit where the tune changes.
The tune changes?
The tune.
What tune?
Look, don't mock the afflicted. I come in here on the deathbed almost, and just get a load of abuse. I get ordered out of the studio when I come here.
But you're spreading all sorts of germs.
No germs. No,
Are you no longer infectious?
No longer.
Aren't you?
No.
So nobody's going to get the mumps from you.
Come close and see.
No, thank you.
You're no fun anymore.
Every morning, my husband Paul, known as Rambo, and his friends of the Royal Mail underneath the mailbox in Birmingham. That's BBC Centre in Birmingham. I've been there. Have a competition to guess the first artist and the song you'll play. They've a running points total at the moment. He's doing quite well, as this has been going on for a while. They get 2 points for guessing the correct artist, but a whole 5 points for guessing both the artist and the song. One thing worries me, he's only 41. Karen Dunham and daughters Rosie and Grace. Greetings to all of you. Well, did you get it right this morning, lads? I suppose there's a ton of money on it. A driver is stuck now. I've had a couple of these, so obviously it's doing the rounds of emails all over the internet, I imagine. So if you've heard it before, I apologise. A driver is stuck in a traffic jam on the motorway. Nothing's moving anyway on this particular traffic jam, and suddenly a man knocks on the window, and the driver rolls down his window and says, "What's going on?" "Oh, terrorists down the road have kidnapped Gordon Brown, Alistair Darling, David Miliband and Jack Straw. They're asking for a £10 million ransom. Otherwise, they're going to douse them with petrol and set them on fire. We're going from car to car, taking up a collection." And drives, "How much is everyone giving, on average?" "Oh, most people are giving a gallon." Forsooth, ye listeners, the sage. Possibly John Ketley, but you can't be sure. "So it be St. Swithin's Day today's not, is it? And if it be a raining, there be a bad summer ahead. But if it be sunny, then mayhap there's a mixed weather picture for us all. I predict it could be good, or perhaps bad. I know these things. I'll be studying the seaweed and other mystical things." Well done, the sage. That's the kind of weather forecast we've been getting all year, isn't it? Oh, it could be wet. It could be dry. Oh, it could be global warming. Welsh Geronimo says, the old thief in a patch. I was most excited to read in one of the nationals that people are having sex in their 70s. I don't mind telling you, I just can't wait. Does one have to put one's name down in advance, so probably a good idea. Good morning, your Wogan Chip, and all the urbanites of the morning to yourself and your underlings. Thank you, Percy Flage. Listening to the news, I heard our brave government is offering us more choice where we'd like to die. Yes, I saw that, and I knew that would bring you out from behind the arras. Through the good offices of yourself and your daily broadcast, I'd like to register my interest straight away, so to be at the front of the queue. What's likely to be a popular choice? I'd like to die in the sunshine. Say, south of France, in the arms of a blonde nymphomaniac whose father owns an off-licence, having been very recently completed a lap of the Top Gear track in their reasonably priced car in a record and unbeatable time. And it'd be nice to die laughing, so I think that in the background one of the Jan and John stories should be playing. That's the way to go. Matt Black says, I choose to spend my last days in a nudist club, 1830 Beach in California, at a beach volleyball match. So, many a TOG is happy. Indeed, good news, the government helping us to choose where to die. And after all, just an extension of government policy, says Geraint de Hole, Welsh golf correspondent, which for a while now has slowly been eroding the will to live. So I heard you say that some people were still having sex in their 70s. Well, apparently, in the papers, allegedly. Well, I'm still having good sex at 83. I know. Trouble is you live at 79. Mike Remington, the old ones. I love them. I have a little bit of advice for Johnny Marsh. I'll give him later about to clear up his chest. Bone Crushers again appears to have taken your fancy. We're told this episode was even worse than last week's, so more accurate depictions of archaeology and health and safety technique in the mud of the British Channel, more preposterous discoveries of underground chambers. It's supposed to be a story, lads. It's not supposed to be fact. It's not Time Team. Honestly. The size of sports halls, more life and death struggles with baddies with a better intelligence network than spooks. The highlight this week was a line to rival some of the greats in TV and movie history, alongside classic lines such as, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn, and life is like a box of chocolates. We can now add the classic Bone Kickers line, everybody, bras off. At least, made us watch a bit more. But as I say, you're all expecting Carenza, and the Geo-Fizz fella, who seems to uncover a series of small walls, and Tony Robinson. Obviously, with the well-meaning government's idea that we can all die in our beds and that we can pick where we want to die, we've had an awful lot of suggestions. And most people, certainly gentlemen of a certain age, most of their suggestions of where they want to die are unprintable or certainly unbroadcastable. After this morning, I've decided it's time to choose my last resting place, says Beau. Got out of bed, picked up me dirty socks from the bedroom floor, went to the linen basket in the bathroom, lifted its lid, dropped the socks into the loo. Now, do I put washing powder in the bowl, give it a quick flush, bingo, clean socks? Any advice would be gratefully received. Look, you're a confused person. Following this act of TOG confusion, I wish my last resting place to be lying next to Lynn Bowles, listening to the fire engine's bell as it fades into the distance. And that's the only clean one we've had. I've just returned from 2 weeks on the wonderful Greek island of Paxos. What did I tell you about Greek islands ending in os? You will see lots of things that you don't want to see. I wish to share some of my concerns regarding Greek health and safety. Andrew, are they still doing that in the loos in Greece? Will you throw the paper in the bin? No. Most tracks to beaches and indeed pavements were very uneven. Oh dear. And they're in the EU, you know. Crisscrossed with tree roots and often electrical cables with not a danger of death sign in sight. Although my knowledge of the Greek language is restricted to greetings and the ordering of wine and beer. It was evident on watching Greek TV there were no adverts for compensation lawyers, so therefore, when one of the locals was cutting down trees with a chainsaw without the road being closed 2 miles in each direction, I felt my life to be in peril. Yes, once you leave this country, you are in peril, because health and safety cannot throw their umbrella over you. Reassuringly, however, when we returned to our hotel, operated by an Anglo-Greek company, There were comforting signs everywhere advising us not to stand on the toilet seat, and the bathroom floor might become slippery when wet. It's nice to be safe.
You're listening to the Wake Up to Wogan podcast from BBC Radio 2.
Janet and John. John goes to the grocer's. Today, John is going to the grocer's shop in the village. John likes to go to the grocer's. He can buy some sweets while he is there. John likes sweets. Janet says, "I'd like some ham on the bone, some cheddar and a box of crackers."
Oh, no.
Can you remember all that, John?
Stop now.
John says, "Of course I can." Clever John. Janet says, "Don't be long, I'll be doing some ironing." John puts on his shopping clothes. Purple loon pants with gold stars, a turquoise satin shirt with an orange cravat, and a silver top hat with a pink ribbon. John is a dandy. See John hop and skip gaily down the road to the shops. There's an element of truth in all this. Soon John arrives at the grocer's. Ding-a-ling goes the shop bell. Oh, I wish I had an effect for that. John sees Mrs. Palmer behind the counter. "Hello, Mrs. Palmer," says John. Sorry. The guy tends to dribble. "Hello, John," says Mrs. Palmer. What fun. Mrs. Palmer is trying to open a big jar of olives. Do you like olives? Neither does John. Mrs. Palmer says, "Sorry to keep you, John. Mr. Palmer normally opens these for me, but he's had to go out. Could you help?" See John open the jar of olives. See how strong John is. Mrs. Palmer says, "Thank you, John. I wonder if you could help me with something else." John says, "Of course." Mrs. Palmer says, "I can't reach that big box of breakfast cereal on the top shelf. Could you get it down for me?" See John reach up and get down the big box. John likes top shelves. See how tall John is. "Thank you very much, John," says Mrs. Palmer. "What can I get you today?" John says, "I'd like some ham on the bone, some cheddar, and a box of crackers, please." "Certainly," says Mrs. Palmer. "Because you've been so helpful, you can have a bag of sweets for free." While Mrs. Palmer is cutting the ham, John looks at all the jars of sweets. John says, I'd like a bag of raspberry pips, please." See Mrs. Palmer give John the shopping and a bag of sweets. "Goodbye, Mrs. Palmer," says John as he trots home with the shopping. When John gets home, Janet has just finished the ironing. "You took a long time," says Janet. "Yes. When I got to the shop, Mr. Palmer wasn't there, so Mrs. Palmer asked if I could help out with some of the things he does for her. He normally handles olives on a Tuesday, so as he was out, I managed to get the top off and hand down her shreddies. She was so... She was so pleased, she gave me a big bag of sweets for free." See Janet tie John to the ironing board. "Can you reduce the appearance of aging wrinkles?" What? Look, welcome lads, welcome one, welcome
Thank you.
all.
Huddle up.
So kind, such a giver.
I must go down to the sea again, to the lonely sea and the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a binnacle to steer her by. Do you steer with your binnacle?
I've got a creaky binnacle.
I must go down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life. That's what attracts old Boggy. That's why he won't take his wife. To the roughest dockside taverns. That's where he takes his trade, where women and drink flow freely, and he often picks a fair maid. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover. Tales of ships and women, he's tried to have it over. But this is so true to life. His seafaring week is soon over as he sails up the River Rock.
Yeah, that's not an easy thing either.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's unfortunate you living there, really.
It is,
isn't
I know. It's
I mean,
a
it was
gift.
going so well there until that very point. And look, there's a camera in Pitlochry, just a little out of... It's like the one-eyed yellow idol, isn't it? Yes, Robert W. Surface. There's a camera in Pitlochry, just a little out of town, where it kindly takes the picture of those who don't slow down. It's really rather nifty, because it shows what Boggy did. He was doing over 50, so they fined him 60 quid. Wilting bath.
Thank you, Wilting.
You really never got over it, have you?
He never got over it. At least he didn't mention the fact I owe him a pint.
He does. Yes, he does.
Oh, he does.
It was in brackets, so I let it out. Now, I just want to warn people that if you're driving on the main roads of Britain, probably sitting there in a traffic jam, do try and make your way to the hard shoulder. You can do that now on some motorways, but we're going to have a Janet and John story. John Goes Sailing, it's called. Avast ye landlubbers.
A moment's pause there. It's almost Radio 3-ish.
Well, it is because
All we need is a potted
How
plant
long are their
down
pauses?
the
Why are their
corner.
pauses longer than ours? They pay more money for them?
with me little aspidistra in me hand.
I do wish to know about that.
All I'm doing is trying to sort out the filth here.
Oh!
What was the cabin boy's name again?
Tom!
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Janet and John. John goes sailing. Today is a lovely sunny day, so John is going out for a sail on his boat. Do you think the Golden Rivet is a funny name for a boat? John puts on his best sailing clothes, a pink blazer with fake medals and gold braid, a white frilly shirt with a blue cravat, blue trousers with silver stripe down the side, a white peaked cap. Janet wants to go to the fish market, so she gives John a lift to the boatyard. Do you know how to be a nuisance with a telescope? John does. When they arrive at the boatyard, Janet says, "I'll pick you up at 3, don't be late." "I won't," says John. John sees Mrs. Woodrow. "Hello, Mrs. Woodrow," says John. What a little swine he is. "Are you going sailing today?" Mrs. Woodrow says, "Yes, I'm just waiting for my husband to bring the tender. Would you like me to take you out to your boat?" "Oh, yes, please," says John. And Mrs. Woodrow says, "We'll have to be careful today. There are lots of people out on jet skis. The new Commodore of the Yacht Club, Sir Gerald Boys, calls them the Romford Navy." I must introduce you to his wife, Marjorie. She has a great interest in church organs. She's quite a busy lady, but she usually has Wednesdays free, if you're interested. "Oh, yes, please," says John. Soon Mr. Woodrow arrives with the tender and takes John out to his boat. Mrs. Woodrow says, "If you're back by 2:30, we'll pick you up as well." Kind Mrs. Woodrow. See John sitting on his boat. John does not like to sail too far in case he gets lost. So he goes round and round in the harbour until he gets giddy. And then he gets his telescope out and shouts out things like, "Ahoy!" and "Avast!" until he has a sore throat. What fun. When John is quite tired of getting giddy and shouting, he takes his boat back to the mooring and plays with his telescope. John sees Mrs. Woodrow again in her dinghy. Mrs. Woodrow shouts to John that Mr. Woodrow has put the tender away by the breakwater for the day, but he's asked the harbour master to pick them up in a tug. Mrs. Woodrow and John get a lift back to the dock with the harbour master. See John get out his telescope again. John waves goodbye to Mrs. Woodrow and the harbour master and hops and skips out to the car park to meet Janet. Soon Janet arrives in the car, and Janet says, "Did you have a nice time, John?" And John says, "Yes, I saw Mrs. Woodrow. She was going out for a sail too, but she said she wouldn't mind picking me up on the way back. Mr. Woodrow had left her tender down by the groin, so we had to make do with a tug on the way back." She said, "I should arrange to meet her on Wednesdays when she's nothing on, and told me that if I wanted, she could introduce me to lady boys." Sorry, lady boys. Do you know how to keel-haul someone on dry land? Sorry. It's getting worse, isn't it? It is getting worse.
Oh, sorry about that.
All is nerves and anticipation here, but hold hard, team. The Wogan Players are all assembled here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning to you. No, you're playing the
Where's the dog?
Playing the common man. Easy, don't anticipate things.
Thanks.
No, we won't do this until you have completed your task.
Oh, no. And should I wish to accept it?
Well, I wouldn't. A gold statue. Somebody suggested the old graven image of the idol. before you eat that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, a gold statue of Boggy Marsh.
Yes?
So, here's an idea, says Blue-Green Algae. If you had some small ones made, you could give them out as awards for the best use of innuendo in your show, which is a kind of Italian thing, I think. Which, I may say, there's quite a lot of, if you don't mind me saying. Sort of like an Oscar. Call them Johnnies.
Innuendo itself is a sort of innuendo, isn't it?
It's an Italian curse. Thrives are the marshmallow, Boggius martius. Thrives in a sedentary environment, an amorphous blob of indeterminate hue. How close this is. Habitat equally at home on land and sea. Likes nothing more than a good nibble now and then. Only known predator, speed cameras.
You have to bring that up, don't you, every day?
In Pitlochry. Yeah. It was a disgrace.
It was a moment of...
Yeah, madness.
Well, slight inattention.
Yeah, I know. Well, can we... Sorry, once again. Don't let us interrupt at all. You crunching your way through the baguette.
Building myself up.
Were you spitting?
No, I wasn't. I was merely trying to, prepare myself off mic. That's what professionals do,
The Wogan Players present 10 years Afore the Mast. The Players, Commodore O'Shaughnessy, Sir T. Wogan. Sawbones, the ship's doctor, Alan Boyd. Mrs. Scullery, the cook and matron, Lynn Bowles. Captain Beardrash, John Marsh. Bonzo, the ship's dog. Our gallant band has been at sea for many days, and no sign of land.
Ooh.
Faith and begob!
It's the central line.
Faith and begob! Will we ever see Uckfield Marina again? I'm going mad. Mad! Mad! I'm going mad!
No.
I'm going mad!
Stop him,
mad.
Stop him!
I'm mad! I'm mad, me.
Oh, shush. Relax, Commodore. Here, have a cup of tea and calm down.
Sure, I thought we ran out of water 2 days ago. What's all that coughing about?
What do you mean coughing? That was a bark. That was supposed to be a dog.
Oh, would you mind doing it again? I missed it. Okay. Come on.
I'm sorry. Oh, what's that, Bonzo? Look here, there's land dead ahead there.
Come on. This can't be good for his chest. That reminds me, Doctor. Can you be having a look? Sorry, he's changed his accent. where young Bonzo bit me yesterday. Look it. It's kind of... Look it. It's kind of funny colour.
Oh, hoots. I didn't like the look of that.
Who's this?
I'm the doctor.
Have you met?
What do you think, Mrs. Scullery?
You're not Dr. Snoddy, are you?
Yuck.
Yuck.
Yuck. I think it's going to have to come off, Doctor.
Aye, I thought so. Where's my hacksaw?
You've got 2 lines.
Yeah.
Come on, turn this page.
Look.
Come on, wind him up, love.
Look,
It's you again.
Didn't have this in mind when you thought of newsreaders.
Prompt.
Good boy, Bonzo. Good boy, Bonzo. Just for finding land, I'll get the doctor to give he whatever he chops off the Commodore. But, oh, Trevor's sake. Can you stop barking? Can you stop barking now, Bonzo? You're taxing my acting skills and the cough to the limit, by God. Wait till I see that scriptwriter.
Thank the Lord. Here's the harbour. Sure, we'll be ashore in a couple of minutes. Maybe I'll be after going to the chemist and buying no more than 32 paracetamol instead.
Just when I was going to have some fun too.
You're still here?
I do.
I thought you'd gone.
And still he's eating the bacon baguette.
Thank God.
No, I thought that was good.
Thank God we had the music.
You were good, John.
I would never have known how to finish that.
He was rubbish.
It's the makeup that does it.
It was good.
The dog was off.
Well, yeah, it's attaching the tail was a bit of a problem.
Wake up to Wogan!
This was a podcast from BBC Radio 2. Don't forget you can also download free podcasts for Steve Wright, Russell Brand and Chris Evans. Get more information now at bbc.co.uk/Radio 2 and wake up to Wogan every weekday morning from 7:30, online, on digital and on 88 to 91 FM.